As a business owner, do you ever feel alone? Hi, I'm Ray Silverstein, founder of Pro Presidents Organization. I know business owners want to call their own shots, make appropriate income, and control their destiny. At Pro, our passion is to help you achieve your goals. A Pro peer advisory board meeting is just the thing. It takes away that feeling of being alone by giving you support, insight, and experience. It's a confidential monthly meeting of non-competitive business owners facilitated by me. I have walked in your shoes. I've owned and sold several businesses. I will be your mentor and tormentor to move you forward. When you have issues or opportunities that keep you awake at night, where do you get your help? Pro boards give support and non-biased feedback from your peers. To sample a free Pro Peer Advisory Board meeting, email ray@propres.com. That's ray@propres.com. ray@propres.com. There's no charge and no commitment to attend.
Good evening with Two Small Biz Guys coming to you. I'm Zen Benefiel and
Ray Silverstein.
Ray, so tonight we're going to be talking about starting up a business, what's involved, how to determine whether you're suited for that matter. So let's just jump right into that. How does one figure out whether they're fit to go into business?
Well, let me bounce you back one step because there's an interesting article.
Boing.
Oh my God, that was quite a bounce. There was an interesting article put out by the Phoenix Business Journal. Actually, the business journals which own the Phoenix Business Journal, they own 23 papers.
Which we're going to have their publisher on here in January.
Yes, January 4th. And the article's basically headline says, Entrepreneurship booms. Record numbers of Americans starting businesses.
Why is that?
Well, the percentage of Americans involved in starting or running a new business rose to 14% last year, the highest record ever recorded by Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. The report found that 24 million Americans are engaged in startup businesses, another 14 million are running established businesses. The survey found that 51% of Americans see good opportunities for starting businesses. So I found that was very interesting, but also talked about...
Now, what are the factors in that, though? Because, with the economy, everybody says that, it's getting better, but there's still a lot of economic restraint. And with the nature of that, people who've companies that have downsized, so now people are looking for jobs, and instead of looking for a job, a lot of them are turning to creating a job.
The comments in this article stated that people looking for jobs are not as strong in entrepreneurship as people already in existing jobs, which I found very interesting because
is that a division in attention, maybe?
Well, I think it comes back as to whether you're an optimist or a pessimist. And the aspect is that the people who were out of work, they thought the risk of starting a business was too high, at least according to this article. But the primary reason, according to this, is that people...
I can see how that is, because if you don't have anything, if you've bottomed out, you have no foundation from which to launch to, unless you've got a nest egg to work from, then that's a little bit different. But if you've lost a job, people generally live from paycheck to paycheck. So if it's gone, then you're looking for something else. You're looking for another one, at least temporarily.
Yeah, I can see that. I agree with that. I think that that's one reason why they're pessimistic, because if whatever little bit they have, if they risk it, it's gone and they can't replenish. But the aspect was that people existing in work, there's a higher level of people thinking about starting new jobs, starting new enterprises, and thinking about greater opportunity. So either people see with the new technology, and also I think the ease of getting to business, because all you really need is a laptop in many businesses.
Right.
And also the discussion of what Peter Drucker talked about years ago, that the businesses today are knowledge businesses in many cases.
And you can set up an LLC for $100.
Well, a little bit more than that. But
No, I've done it.
well,
$50 for the fees and another $50 to publish.
yeah,
You're done.
Okay, but the LLC that you established isn't really a good LLC if you're going to bring other people into it if you want to raise money, because you didn't really establish the operating format of the LLC. You just established an LLC.
Correct.
So there's two aspects of the LLC. An LLC actually costs you more to establish than a sub-S, but that's because in the LLC, you have the establishment of the LLC, then you also have to create an operating format of the LLC.
So is that more of a PLLC or is it an LLC? Because there are two different versions. One, professional liability or limited liability company, and the other one's just a limited liability company.
Well, the LLC, they're generally referring to LLCs, but even in a PLC, you need to have an operating format as to who's going to run it, how you're going to run it, what are the rules of the road. So that's the other ingredient of an LLC. But going back,
but that's not necessarily a cost. That's more an element of time and negotiations.
Well, it becomes a question.
Or would it be a lawyer's?
Generally, if you want to do it properly, you generally have lawyers lay it out.
Lawyers, guns, and monies. Oh,
so well, it costs us somewhat, but,
right?
But we weren't going to get into structure, although we can get into different structures. But
let's get back to it. To begin with, are you a self-starter? That's one of the questions. I've got a quiz here. It's actually available on the website in the upper right-hand corner. You can click on it, download it for yourself, or actually go to the website, take it yourself, score yourself. So the first question is, are you a self-starter? And there's 3 things you can select. If someone gets me started, I keep going all right. I do things my own way. Nobody needs to tell me to get going. Or easy does it. I don't put myself out until I have to.
So if you don't put yourself out until you have to, you're not going to be successful in starting a business.
That somebody needs to be told what to do.
Because, starting a business, a person, number one, needs a passion. They need to identify what they think is a benefit as to what they can bring or what the business is. Sometimes businesses are started because they have experience. Many times they have experience in a certain area.
Well, especially if you've got a skill set that you've learned or garnered from your time or tenure in a particular company or organization or industry even. And, once you reach a certain level of expertise, you kind of get beyond hiring. It's like being overeducated or overqualified.
You're really a pessimist on being overqualified, but the aspect is that a person says, look, I'm really good at this. I think there are things I can do better, or there's something that the company I'm working for is missing.
That's the first time I've been called a pessimist.
And I can bring this skill set. Well, you're maybe a pessimist or pessi. You like to be...
I'm more of a pessimist.
Right. That's right. You like to pest. So I think that probably the aspect is that people get involved and they want to start these businesses. But the aspect is the barriers of entry today are so much lower than in the past. You don't necessarily need a physical location. You don't need bricks and mortar. You may not need equipment, especially if you're in a knowledge-type business.
Mm-hmm.
So all you really need is your brain, a laptop, and just being able to go out and do it. Now, you talked about the 3 different steps or 3 different styles.
Well, these are just the questions that, this is a survey to take to find out whether you're really geared for being an entrepreneur or not.
And the survey said what? What did the survey? What's the best part of it?
I don't know.
Who's the best entrepreneur?
Well, I would think I do things my own way. Nobody needs to tell me how to get going. That would be the self-initiating. It's kind of like there's these new management styles in companies. Like, we've done some talks about Zappos and the horizontal management style where there really is no leadership, but there's a lot of self-initiating people. Well, those are the kind of entrepreneurial mindsets that would do well on their own.
That's a holacratic type of business. But
right.
But the aspect is that when a person wants to go in business, many times people go into business because they want to call their own shots. They want to do it their way. They don't want to have a boss. But the interesting part is when they go into business and when they get some success and they start hiring employees, all of a sudden they get...
Oh, my God, then they get sidetracked.
That's right. They get
I
pulled
got to
away.
deal with people?
You're
so
right.
That's the next question. How do you feel about other people?
Well, okay. Well, it depends who the people are.
Right.
Some people I like and some, who knows?
Most people bug me. I like people. I can get along with just about anybody, or I have enough friends and I don't need anybody else.
Well, but the aspect is when they go into business or they go into work and they get some success, all of a sudden, where they operate in their skill set, they're now operating in areas which are not their strength, and that's where they really need to go to
PracticalBizU.com.
Yeah, that's right. That's where they need to go
get
to
some
learn how to do
education.
that. But that's the hard part, because all of a sudden I'm very good at doing A, B, and C, and now I have to do X, Y, and Z, and I may not like doing X, Y, and Z.
And you probably don't, and you still may not know where to go to get help or even the right kinds of questions to ask in order to get that help.
That's right.
Because you're too inside of it. You're in the bubble, and without it being exposed or without an outside view of that, which would be a consultant or possibly even a coach.
Or PracticalBizU.com.
Right. Plug it away.
Zen doesn't want to talk about where you can really get information, but actually
it is a great site. A great site. We do have a lot of information there, and there are some commercials coming up, and I'm sure you'll hear more about it there. We'll be right back with you at Two Small Biz Guys. Thanks for listening. What is your dream? Do you want to achieve it? Do you know how? What if you did? Zen Benefiel is the Chief Possibilities Coagulator with Be the Dream, Transformational Life Coaching and Professional Services. He'll help you put your dream to paper and process, removing the liabilities, limitations, and excuses in your challenge to change. Changing your outlook and perspectives opens your experience to opportunity and success. Visit BeTheDream.com and make an appointment with Zen. You'll be amazed with the results.
As a business owner, do you ever feel alone? Hi, I'm Ray Silverstein, founder of Pro President's Organization. I know business owners want to call their own shots, make appropriate income, and control their destiny. At Pro, our passion is to help you achieve your goals. A Pro Peer Advisory Board meeting is just the thing. It takes away that feeling of being alone by giving you support, insight, and experience. It's a confidential monthly meeting of non-competitive business owners facilitated by me. I have walked in your shoes. I have owned and sold several businesses. I will be your mentor and tormentor to move you forward. When you have issues or opportunities that keep you awake at night, where do you get your help? Pro boards give support and non-biased feedback from your peers. To sample a free Pro Peer Advisory Board meeting, email ray@propres.com. That's ray@propres.com. ray@propres.com. There's no charge and no commitment to attend.
Offering insight, practical advice, and an opportunity for coaching and consulting from their years of real-world experience and understanding. Two Small Biz Guys hit the airwaves with wit and wisdom, exploring small business with a couple of characters in the community, or caricatures as the case may be. Ray and Zen, that is, Mondays at 8 p.m. These guys are passionate about helping entrepreneurs and small business owners explore opportunities, meet challenges, and transform concepts to reality. Two Small Biz Guys, Mondays at 8 p.m. Are you a small business owner looking for education and information and don't have time for school? Is there an area of your business you'd like to know more about but aren't sure where to go or who to ask? Practical Biz U is an online repository of small business courses now available to you on the web. There are single class options, bundles for specific areas, and monthly memberships for ongoing learning opportunities. Go to practicalbizu.com and sign up today. The digital world is vast. Is it working for you? Would you like some qualified help? Zen Benefiel is a wonder with social media who leads focused and organized workshops on multiple platforms like Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn. He leads by example, not theory, and teaches you how to live large and lively on the web. From blogs to SEO, his web presence speaks for itself. Take advantage of his expertise. Visit BeTheDream.com and click on Web Wizardry. Hire him while you can. Yeah, hire him while you can. So we're talking about starting up a business on your own and what's involved, why you might want to do so, and the nature of what it's all about. So, Ray, we mentioned, that you want to be your own boss, that there's, some control in that. What else is involved? Why would somebody want to start their own business?
Well, I think the main reason is they really have a passion for a certain activity or idea.
And this is what you find from all your peer group work? Well,
I think there's one.
That's a little different level. Those peer groups have at least 5 employees and, $500,000 in revenue. So right. That's a completely different level. But hopefully that's where the startup people will be in a short time.
Yeah, so generally when the startup is that they have a passion that they really want to accomplish. They have a goal, they have an idea, they have an inspiration. But then the aspect is how much risk is a person willing to take? And what do they really want to accomplish? Is it a lifestyle? Is it income? Is it I was able to really accomplish this? Am I a person that wants to really change the world?
Or do I want to try and market a glow-in-the-dark cat hat?
Right. That sounds like
not a good idea.
That sounds like a pretty good idea. I never heard of that one before. Where can I get those? That sounds good.
Yeah, well.
So the aspect is but then they have to think about there's always the risk aspect, especially if you have a position.
Well, anytime you take that kind of initiative in your life, that's a huge risk. And to be able to handle that, minimize the stress involved in that, and be able to function and know what to do, how to do, when to do, be able to create your list, follow it, and have all of the action items in place. That's yet another aspect that not everyone thinks about.
Well, but there's also the other is the pressures from family, which goes back to risk.
Sure.
And I think most people don't think about all the ingredients of getting going. I think they say, oh, this is really great, and I can do it. You see, I can do attitude.
Right.
And then they start crossing. And
the rest of the family has to have the yes, you can do it attitude.
And we're willing to support it.
Right.
But then the aspect is how can you cope with the stress as these different issues come up, that some of which you anticipate, but many of which you don't anticipate. And if you aren't able to handle stress, maybe it's not the thing for you. Maybe you should really be in a position where it's kind of a day in and day out type of activity, even though there is a certain amount of stress of getting things done.
Well, does that have to do, like one of the questions in this entrepreneurial survey, which we do have again on the website, and you can click on it. It'll take you to the quiz and actually score it for you once you're done to let you know whether you're entrepreneurial type or not. But one of those questions is, can you take responsibility? And I think this is kind of what you're alluding to, that responsibility in being able to get things done, to handle the stress, to do what is necessary, not necessarily what you want to do, but what you have to do in order to get the business on the right path.
Okay, well, you made an interesting comment there. The difference between what you like to do and what you have to do, because people generally fall into habits of doing the things which are comfortable for them.
Sure.
And in starting a business, many times you have to get into areas of things that you must do to move the business forward. And those may be things that you don't like to do or have to do. And generally when you start, there's just you maybe one or two others.
Right.
If you have some others, it's great because you can hand off those things you don't like to do to others.
Well, and one of the things my father, rest in peace, taught me young, he says, do the worst first. When you have a list of things to do, look at what you really don't want to do and tackle that first. And it really kind of, as I learned and practiced, it creates a momentum that carries through into the rest of the work because now you don't have that weight on your shoulders. It's done. It's out of the way.
Well, that's also interesting because if you're a believer in the strength movement, that's contrary. Because the work that you don't like to do generally is a weakness. By weakness, I mean...
But that's where you grow.
Well...
because you may not know exactly what it is you need to do, but you're out there doing it, and I think it's a steeper learning curve.
But I don't fully concur with that.
Okay.
Because I think that when you do things that you enjoy doing, you have a lot more energy. And you get
absolutely.
And you get the things done. And when you start a business, you need to have energy. Now, if there's things you must do, so work is defined.
Well, but do human beings, are they able to segment themselves good enough to not think about, okay, I've got this huge task over here that I really don't want to do, but I'm having fun what I'm doing right now. But oh my gosh, I've still got this task over here that. You know what I'm saying? So there's a minimization of focus and attention because of the diversion from that upcoming thing, right?
But the upcoming thing, from a perspective, has to be broken down into the tasks that have to get done.
Sure.
And you have to define the action. So if you look at a task, the old adage, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And people just say tusk when you get done, but oh my God,
that was bad.
So the aspect is when you are
able to
define those steps that you have to get in, that also does create a certain amount of momentum because you say, okay, I got step 1 done, now I can move to step 2, and there is this momentum. But it depends upon how major the task is. I mean, when you and I work together. Right. You do the things I don't like to do because if I had to do them, they would be postponed every day.
Well, yeah, and you'd have a huge learning curve.
That's right. I'd have a huge learning curve. So sometimes you have to determine what is the best way to get this done.
And is there somebody who does it better?
Or somebody that gets it done better and someone who gets a satisfaction from getting it done. So the old aspect used to be, if you're not good at something, work at it because you have to get better. The premise in the strength movement is that those things which you do well and you enjoy doing, because you can do things well and not like them.
Sure.
You do things that create energy for you, because as you create the energy, you move forward faster and you leverage up faster.
Right.
So that's...
But yeah, there's some things I love to do. I love to play golf, but if I'm not putting well, man, I'm just I don't enjoy myself.
Well, so the aspect is golf is golf work or is golf play?
Sometimes.
So when you say to people you play golf, or do you say you work golf? Now when I go out to do golf is like work.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen you play golf.
And I finished the first hole. I say I only got 17 more to go.
Right. And you have your handicap's great.
That's right. That's right.
It's a huge handicap.
You don't. The best. My belief is the best amortization of the greens fee wins. So it's not. I have a theory that the golf owner proprietors, they fool the public. They think the faster, the lower my score, the faster I get off the course, the better it is. If you really enjoy golf, stay out there and hit the ball.
Yeah, take as many shots as you can.
Yeah.
Or play as many balls as you can.
It's the same thing is true with bowling. I never want to get a strike round until the 10th frame.
Right. Yeah, because
you're overwhelmed with that. You're overwhelmed with that thought process.
So how good an organizer are you? Back to the questions. This is one of the things that really is a roadblock to a lot of would-be entrepreneurs, because there has to be an organizational structure, even if it's in your own mind, of the process that you're going through. Now, it's better if it's written down in a business plan. That's another story. How many companies actually have a business plan?
Well, most don't.
Right.
But going back to the organization question.
Okay.
Organization, the aspect is that people who start businesses normally are either in a development of the product mode. They want to develop the product to an extreme degree, or they're very much sales driven, and their goal is to sell, 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 and they don't necessarily think about process. So generally when businesses start, there's like chaos initially. I mean, if you have some success.
Right.
And then in order to straighten out the chaos, you need to bring somebody in.
So there is the order. There's the natural progress from chaos to order,
right?
But it takes some help.
Yeah, before you have order, you have to have chaos.
And speaking of help and a little chaos maybe, we're going to break for commercials, and we'll be right back with you.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump is under fire from his rivals for proposing that all Muslims be banned from entering the U.S. Correspondent Jeff Zeleny.
The Trump campaign has not yet provided specifics, but I can tell you this is an extraordinary escalation of any of the proposals or any of the rhetoric we've heard from Donald Trump since he jumped into this presidential campaign.
GOP contender Jeb Bush says Trump is unhinged. Hillary Clinton says the idea is reprehensible, prejudiced, and divisive. The Justice Department has opened a civil rights investigation into the Chicago Police Department days after a video was released showing a white officer shooting a black teenager 16 times. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel.
Today, the Department of Justice announced a special investigation into Chicago's police department. We welcome it, and Chicago as a city will be better for it.
I'm Ann Cates.
From the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center for tonight, mostly clear with a low of 47. We'll have some sunshine on Tuesday, the high 76. Mostly clear Tuesday night, 46 for our low. Then for your Wednesday, sunny skies with a high of 76. Wednesday night, clear and 47. I'm Chuck Taylor from the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center.
Currently, in downtown Phoenix, it's 64 degrees.
Next news in 30 minutes or when it breaks. Here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Are you a small business owner looking for education and information and don't have time for school? Is there an area of your business you'd like to know more about but aren't sure where to go or who to ask? Practical Biz U is an online repository of small business courses now available to you on the web. There are single class options, bundles for specific areas, and monthly memberships for ongoing learning opportunities. Go to practicalbizu.com and sign up today. Hi, I'm Zen Benefiel with Be the Dream Transformational Life Coaching and Professional Services at BeTheDream.com. Our mission? To provide leading-edge transformational personal and business development services. Our services include life coaching, enterprise coaching, partnering facilitations, and possibilities coagulating. We've been in business since 1988. In times of massive change, you need someone who can help you adjust and transform. I can meet that challenge with you, offering a stellar skill set from serving individuals and companies for over 20 years. I invite you to peruse BeTheDream.com and put me to the test. Fill out the coaching assessment survey and give me a call. The first call is free, and you can find out if I'm what you are looking for in a coach, consultant, or service provider. Call 480-633-7179. Let your dreams mold future realities. BeTheDream.com.
As a business owner, do you ever feel alone? I'm Ray Silverstein, founder of Pro President's Organization. A Pro peer advisory board meeting takes away that feeling of being alone by giving you support, insight, and experience. You get this from your peers, other business owners who have resolved the issues that keep you awake at night. A Pro Peer Advisory Board is a confidential meeting of non-competitive business owners facilitated by me. I have owned and sold several businesses. I have walked in your shoes. I will be your mentor and tormentor, moving you ahead to achieve your goals. To a sample of free Pro President's meeting, email Ray at ProPres, that's R-A-Y at PROPRES.com. A Pro Peer Advisory Board meeting takes away that feeling of being alone by giving you support, insight, and experience. Email Ray at ProPres, that's R-A-Y at PROPRES.com. There is no charge or no commitment to attend.
Welcome back to Two Small Biz Guys. Just to let you know a little bit more about where you can find this survey, it is at Two Small Biz Guys. That's the number 2, SMALLBIZGUYS.com. Hey, I didn't even expect that one. That was good timing. All right, so back to the process of starting up a business. We were talking about the ability of being a good organizer, and what's the difference between being a good organizer and a good worker?
Oh, that's interesting. I think worker is basically one who accomplishes, in other words, moves or gets things done. And an organizer might be one who lays out the process as to how to get it done in the most efficient manner.
Now, as an individual, though, starting up any process or business or something like that, you've got to be a little of both. You've got to be able to figure out what your priorities are, organize them, and then go through the list and make sure that you're qualified to get the work done, right?
No.
Okay. Tell me more.
I think that most people who start a business, their number one chore is to sell. Pardon me, their number one thing is really to create the product or service, to make it really unique and have a unique selling proposition and having the quality there. But after they get that point, they don't really worry that much about the process per se. Their number one issue is to go out and sell. Because you can develop...
Is that not part of the work?
Well, you can, if you define work as... I mean, you could talk about selling...
That's part of the job of being in business, right?
Yes, but I think, well, okay, but the assumption, at least the assumption I'm making is that the work is...
You know the adage on that one.
Yeah, when you talk about organization, the party who generally starts a business, they're really out there trying to get business, sales, revenues to generate the...
Well, if you don't have the cash flow, you're going to flop.
So, but the aspect is they're not going to really, at that early stage, they don't really think about what is the most efficient process for getting things done. And that's why there's always these major traumas going on and all the chaos because they're busy selling. Then they get to a point when they say, okay, we need some organization within the business, and they really need somebody who has a different skill set to create organization.
So then we get into the hiring process and actually expanding into having an employee.
That's correct, or having somebody,
or a partner,
or have somebody come in, or a partner. And actually, the most successful businesses I see are when they have a partnership or employees.
It's like the incubators and the co-working, not necessarily the co-working space, but the incubators now have a tendency of bringing a collection of people with different varied skill sets that apply them all towards a specific project and have an ongoing list of projects rather than a list of things to do for his particular business.
Okay, but I was referring not in the incubator, but when a business is there, generally you find the most successful ones are where there are two different skill sets. One person is very organized, dots the I's, crosses the T's, and the other person is really creates product, creates the sales, generates some of the chaos, and the other person is really keeping everything straight and going forward. So there are two different types of personalities, two different types of skill sets. You very seldom.
They're complementary.
You're complementary, right? The old adage: if both of us think alike, they don't need one of us.
Right.
So you need different people who think differently.
So in this ongoing process, we're looking at the ability, and this is back to whether you're set up to be an entrepreneur or not. Can you make decisions?
Well, if you can't make decision, no decision is a decision. But if you can't make decisions,
if you don't know what to do nothing.
Yeah, you do nothing. And when you do nothing, you don't move forward. And so you have to make decisions. And the aspect is the decisions can't always be perfected. In other words, if you're looking for perfection, you're looking for procrastination. So you have to move.
Right. Sometimes you just got to move forward. It's good enough.
Yeah. Right.
Go.
Right. You got to move forward and say it's good enough, and we'll come back.
I had that
up
problem publishing my first book. I would just fret and stewed over it, and it's like, oh, it's not good enough. I got to do this. And I edit. Finally, somebody said, just publish the darn thing. And
right.
Get on with it. And wow, what a relief! And it turned out pretty good.
Yeah. But the aspect is sometimes if you don't move it forward, you don't find the errors. And sometimes you got to move it forward and get some feedback, which might be negative, but at least you're moving forward, and then you have the opportunity to correct those errors.
Right. Then you've got the evaluation and the reformation and moving forward, making sure that it does continue. It's a continuous improvement program.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those things around in manufacturing and industry and total quality management. It's kind of the same thing applied on a micro level.
Well, it's like the salesperson who never asks for the order. If you never ask for it, you never get it. Because they don't ask for it because they're afraid they might get rejection.
Right.
So the aspect is if you don't ask for it, you're not going to get rejection, but you don't get the order either. So a worst case situation would be is I'm not going to get the order anyway. So what difference does it make? I'm going to ask for it.
Sure. Now that takes us to the next step. Can people trust what you say?
Well, if people don't have trust, you're not going to build the brand. You're not going to build the culture. Trust is very key. Customers have to trust you. Your employees have to trust you. The independent contractors you might work with have to trust you. Trust is paramount to success.
Well, ultimately, I think it even falls on you trusting you.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of wavering. There's a lot of, in some cases, there's a lot of indecision. There's a lot of quandary over what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Do I really trust myself and what I know in order to move forward with this?
Well, that comment is, am I willing to take risk? Because when you say, do I really trust myself? Am I really willing to take the risk? And the risk might be is that everything isn't precisely the way you like it. The risk might be is that there might be a financial loss. I don't know if that's really trust.
There's also the level of the information that you're sharing. We're talking about sales. And a lot of sales now, especially in the digital world, are technical sales. You've got to be able to explain how something works. And do you trust that you know your product well enough to be able to, especially if you haven't had 100% of the effort in developing it, do you trust what you know about the product well enough to be able to sell it with a straight face?
Well, but then that also brings back the aspect, do you need to be that much of an expert, or do you have people in an organization that have the expertise? Mm-hmm. So it becomes a question as to what is the selling format as to how you go about doing this.
Well, and that's different whether, if you've got a one-person organization or whether you're to the point where you've grown to having to hire others to.
Yeah, if you're a one-person organization, you better know A through Z.
Inside and out. Right, exactly. And if you don't, it's going to be very apparent really quick. So can you stick with it? Do you have the stick-to-itiveness?
Well, I think there's also the reverse side. Do you know when to stop?
walk away?
Right.
Enough already.
Yeah, right. The aspect is, I
How
think,
bloody can you get?
You have to be able to identify what are the boundaries and in other words, I'm going to stick with it to a certain point, and how far do I really push? And it's a smart person who knows when to walk away and say, okay, let's call it a day.
Right.
And start something different.
Well, and there's sometimes where, that success is right around that next corner and you stop too soon. And, that's kind of it's a gray area that if we knew how to answer that or we knew how to determine that, we'd both be millionaires.
Well, generally the format in a bigger institution is they create benchmarks
right.
as to expectations of performance and where they are. And if they don't achieve the benchmarks, then they start walking away. But yes, you were right. It becomes very difficult, especially when you're so enamored and so passionate about the project or product.
You get the blinders on and the tunnel vision. You just go, and you don't look up and around to see really where you're at. Now, you mentioned something about benchmarks. Can you keep good records? You've got to have the records. If once you set the benchmarks, you've got to be able to keep the records to know whether you're meeting them or not.
Well, that becomes a question of how specific or easy to read the benchmarks are. I mean, when you say good records, I don't know if you're talking about record keeping for a small business or the benchmarks for achievement. Yeah,
we don't have LPs today, Ray.
LP. What is the LP?
The long playing. Remember the vinyl records?
Yeah.
So we can't store those or keep those much anymore.
Oh, do I remember that? I just gave away my record collection. Well, that was a
worth
trauma.
Something.
That was a benchmark.
Yeah, I'll bet. So in this record keeping process, you've got to understand the benchmarks. What do you find are the usual benchmarks that people set up?
Generally, it's cash, sales.
Cash how?
Cash out.
Not cash cow. Cash how?
No. What is my bottom cash I can
afford? Not cashnow.com either.
Not cashcow.com because then they go move.
Right.
Or they say move it. But basically, you want to set, okay, how much money can I put into this? What is the worst case? When do I stop? What do I have to expect to achieve? I think we're going to have so we'll discuss benchmarks in a few moments.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. You can take it out to break. And you almost did. We'll be right back with you. Two Small Biz Guys. Thanks for listening. Are you a small business owner looking for education and information and don't have time for school? Is there an area of your business you'd like to know more about but aren't sure where to go or who to ask? Practical Biz U is an online repository of small business courses now available to you on the web. There are single class options, bundles for specific areas, and monthly memberships for ongoing learning opportunities. Go to practicalbizu.com and sign up today.
As a business owner, do you ever feel alone? I'm Ray Silverstein, founder of Pro President's Organization. A Pro Peer Advisory Board meeting takes away that feeling of being alone by giving you support, insight, and experience. You get this from your peers, other business owners who have resolved the issues that keep you awake at night. A Pro Peer Advisory Board is a confidential meeting of non-competitive business owners facilitated by me. I have owned and sold several businesses. I have walked in your shoes. I will be your mentor and tormentor, moving you ahead to achieve your goals. To sample a free Pro President's meeting, email Ray at ProPres, that's R-A-Y at PROPRES.com. A Pro Peer Advisory Board meeting takes away that feeling of being alone by giving you support, insight, and experience. Email Ray at ProPres, that's R-A-Y at PROPRES.com. There is no charge or no commitment to attend.
Hi, I'm I'm Zen Benefiel with Be the Dream Transformational Life Coaching and Professional Services at BeTheDream.com. Our mission? To provide leading-edge transformational personal and business development services. Our services include life coaching, enterprise coaching, partnering facilitations, and possibilities coagulating. We've been in business since 1988. In times of massive change, you need someone who can help you adjust and transform. I can meet that challenge with you, offering a stellar skill set from serving individuals and companies for over 20 years. I invite you to peruse BeTheDream.com and put me to the test. Fill out the coaching assessment survey and give me a call. The first call is free, and you can find out if I'm what you are looking for in a coach, consultant, or service provider. Call 480-633-7179. Let your dreams mold future realities. BeTheDream.com. And we really do hope your dreams will become reality for you. And in order to do that, it's all about sales, sales, sales. We were talking about that quite a bit during our discussion so far. Right, Ray?
Right.
So
I'm sold on that.
Yeah, we're all sold. Okay, so we've got a bunch of sales strategies. And just here's a quick list of things that you might want to think about. Differentiate yourself and your firm. Treat your weaknesses as strengths. Exhibit extreme confidence. Don't be afraid to bail. We talked about that. Be your company's brand. Think like an entrepreneur. No free consulting. Have a low threshold of no. Be your firm's greatest strength and take responsibility for your skills. So those are things that, as you're growing your business, to really think about and consider. And I'll also have these listed in a little more detail on our blog post that goes along with the show once we finish it today, and you can come to the website and check it out.
What's that website?
The website is twosmallbizguys.com.
And that's with the number 2?
The number 2, and biz is B-I-Z. So, yeah, we're kind of in that technology age. And speaking of technology, there's a different, we're talking about how people view success, and technology companies are a little different today in that.
Well, they can be. I think the question is, when people start off in business, they have to define what is their road to success. Normally, people who are starting an ordinary type business will think it's sales and revenues which generate the cash. In technology businesses, sometimes it's the creation of the product or service or whatever it is, so if they can license, sell, or have an exit strategy, or be able to get outside financing.
Like Instagram, they created it, and in less than a year, Facebook bought them out.
The thing is, people hear about all these few exceptions, but most businesses doesn't happen that way. It used to be back in the year 2000 that firms at that time would never have any revenues, that they would get huge amounts of publicity and recognition in the marketplace as to the great new messiah, the new product, the new idea, and they would sell for lots of money. So their goal there was
was in the .com era.
Right, that was the .com area. So their goal there was to get exposure and publicity. So I think you have to say, okay, what is my road to success? Is my road to success the creation of the product? Is it the ability to sell it? Is it the ability to license it to someone? Is it the ability to sell the business to someone? Like you mentioned, Instagram. So you have to determine, what is that road to get you there? Now, you mentioned one thing which I found kind of interesting is about the consulting, no free consulting.
Right.
And, it's interesting when people start off and they're talking about knowledge businesses, which are a lot of people go into today. And when you say no free consulting, their premise of selling, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but their premise of selling is create trust, to create exposure, and to create knowledge by giving information out. And so therefore
that's been known as the Google model.
Okay, but they're doing consulting, but the aspect is they have to know when to stop.
Right.
By giving out that information. Because otherwise they give away everything. And
well,
they don't collect
and if
any revenue.
If you're putting together an RFP for something, then, if you're going to be doing a huge amount of work, then maybe you want to get an agreement that you'll only do the work if you're guaranteed a face-to-face to present your solutions to a certain problem.
Well, that's a possibility, but even for the RFP, many times before you get there, they give away all the information, so therefore the company now puts it into the RFP.
Right.
And the solutions are put out there, and you lose the competitive edge. That's where they're talking about not free consulting. So one of the aspects that you have to determine is how much are you willing to give away, and when do you say, I'll stop, and if you want more, you have to pay for it.
Right. I'll give you the ingredients, but if you want the secret sauce in its final form, then you're going to have to pay for it.
Right. So the secret sauce you keep under the lid.
Right.
So there's this very difficult area as to how much information do I give out to create the reliability in me or my organization. So when do I stop? And it's variable for every person out there. I remember I used to have one person in one of my groups years ago that would do construction work. Or actually, I did this. So we were building a factory, and one of the major firms gave us a proposal that was so definitive I could take this proposal and give it to a local contracting firm who built the factory for substantially less.
Didn't.
I did. I raised my right hand. I did. So they gave away.
Actually, it's a good business decision.
They gave away too much information,
right,
in their proposal, and they created a huge amount of credibility. In other words, they were very confident that they could do the job, but the difference in cost was so substantial that we just basically used that as a bidding device.
Right.
That became the specifications for the job. So you never heard of such a thing, I'm sure.
Oh, unfortunately, yeah. But it happens, and hopefully we learn different things. Nothing is good or bad. It's our thinking that makes it so.
Well, that's the part of the aspect is you learn from experience, but you find a lot of people in knowledge business that they go out there and the skill set they have is the knowledge of that product or service, and they have a tendency to give too much of it. Mm-hmm. So they have to determine how far they're willing to go.
Well, that's kind of where you have to recognize that, you're in business. This is a career. It's not a hobby. In a hobby, you share all kinds of stuff because you don't care, right? Because it's a hobby.
That's true.
You're not concerned about an income. To be able to recognize that, yes, your passion, you're now turning what may have been a hobby into a revenue stream. So you've got to learn how to hold the reins a little differently.
Well, but there's also going back to the term responsibility. You have a responsibility to the people who maybe finance the activity. If you have some employees, you have a responsibility to those employees to keep them employed and be able to meet payroll. So you have to recognize that there is a responsibility, and businesses basically can't be hobbies because then you don't really have that responsibility.
They don't necessarily have to be hobbies, but today, especially with small businesses, they turn into families. Well, they're very close-knit.
Well, I think they always have. But, yes, a part of the aspect is to keep that, I'll call it a family type of environment.
Right. You get a bunch of people that ultimately a business owner wants someone that treats the business like they do, or at least has the considerations for the overall outcome that they would or think that they do.
Yeah, I don't think they necessarily want them like themselves. I think they want them to be friendly, have the same goals. In other words, they want the business to succeed.
Well, they want the mission and vision to be front and center in everyone's mind and not necessarily beat them over the head with it.
Right. Well, the vision has to be somewhat comparable.
Right.
Whenever you hire any employee, the key is always in hiring that people have to match the culture. Otherwise, no matter how good they are, you're going to have a problem down the road.
So the culture is really important. And that culture today is one of an entrepreneurial spirit that's growing. And hopefully we can help you to grow that spirit in yourself over time. And we thank you so much for listening this week. We'll be back with you next Monday from 8 to 9. And we look forward to your ears then. Thanks for listening. Hi, I'm Zen Benefiel with Be the Dream Transformational Life Coaching and Professional Services at BeTheDream.com. Our mission? To provide leading-edge transformational personal and business development services. Our services include life coaching, enterprise coaching, partnering facilitations, and possibilities coagulating. We've been in business since 1988. In times of massive change, you need someone who can help you adjust and transform. I can meet that challenge with you, offering a stellar skill set from serving individuals and companies for over 20 years. I invite you to peruse BeTheDream.com and put me to the test. Fill out the coaching assessment survey and give me a call. The first call is free, and you can find out if I'm what you are looking for in a coach, consultant, or service provider. Call 480-633-7179. Let your dreams mold future realities. BeTheDream.com.
You're listening to Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, Cave Creek, Phoenix, a division of Premier Radio Stations. It's 9 o'clock.